And welcome to the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Stirvin Michaels and featuring special guest, vocalist of AVAT, Roland Velazquez.
If you give me a second to breathe, I might be able again to see what might have been. Dead or alive, won't you say it's the same? Now you take it away, leave me drowning again. I'm dead yet alive, don't you say it's the same? Now you take it away.
Hey, Roly, what's up?
Yeah, how's it going, Steven? Thank you for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming on, man. It looks beautiful out wherever you're at right now. It's rainy and dreary here, but
That's right, man. Sunny South Florida.
oh man, that sounds like
It
a
only
dream
rains.
right
It
now.
only rains here in the afternoons. It only rains here in the afternoons.
So I'm going to hit you with the hardest question I'm going to hit you with all day. You ready?
Let's do it.
In your words, who are you? Who is Roly?
So, who am I? I am Roland Velazquez. You guys can find me online at Rolyvee, Rolyvee. I am the lead singer and frontman for AVAT. We are a metal band from Miami, Florida. And we just released and dropped a new single called Faith in Flames. Kind of in the likes of Protest, Kill Switch, Trivium kind of deal. And we're out here, man. We're out here to slay it.
Dude, I've had, ever since I first heard of you, I've had Faith in Flames stuck in my head constantly on a loop.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Like, I like what you guys are putting out, and you mentioned kind of in the same vein as Kill Switch. When I first heard you sing, I immediately thought like an in between of that and Avenged Sevenfold, and just like that raspiness that you have to your voice at the same time of it sounding clean. Like, how do you manage that without destroying your voice all the time?
Definitely a lot of practice, man. I grew up in chorus, started in middle school, and I quickly figured out that I love singing, man. I love doing that. I got into drama and did a lot of show tunes, a lot of good friends, and
Hell yeah.
after that, I wanted to start a band. Early on, doing a couple like Linkin Park type of deals, but soon after that screamo era, man, '04, ended up joining a band called Handgun Romance, and we knocked it out of the park, man. We were packing up clubs with 1,000 kids, and it was a fun time. I knew that I wanted to do that for the rest of my life, so I have been completely devoting myself to music since then.
Well, that's great, man. It's awesome when you find something that you want to do young. So often people don't figure out what it is until, they're in their late 20s, early 30s, and you feel like you've lost it at that point. But even then, you can keep going. But it's great knowing, being able to track out at a younger age what you want to do.
Absolutely. And I mean, music hasn't always been what I wanted to do professionally, but I actually wanted to, when I was starting out and thinking about what I wanted to do early on, I wanted to become an architect.
Really?
And that quickly, I love design in general, right? But in that creativity that you have behind that, I started to look at a lot of things like album art and websites and that kind of stuff. So I really got into graphic design. And when I started to do that, I was like, damn, man, this is really cool. And then I use that as kind of like a means to self-promote as an artist. And I started to do our own artwork for t-shirts, cover art, posters, you name it. I've done it. Websites, logos. I was the one that created the AVAT logo.
Very impressive.
And thank you. Thank you. And I've been, working on that for quite some time, but there's nothing that hits it quite like music, man. And that is the goal, man. That is the goal, right? You want to do music for the rest of your life professionally. And I'm all for it, man. I am down to the challenge.
I feel you, man, because it's like podcasting, you're a one-man show coming up with all this stuff, and I can't imagine doing graphic design as well as people that professionally do it. I can't imagine doing music as well as people professionally do it, and the whole end goal for me is acting one day. So I understand what it's like to have a dream and to learn some different stuff along the way that aids that.
That's awesome, man. So what kind of acting do you want to do?
I'd prefer film, but at this point, I'd just, there's nothing going on right now. So podcasting's where I get my fill for the entertainment, but, back to you, because, this is our time to get to know you. I could talk all day about myself, and I have problems doing that. Oh, there's that beard.
There we go, man.
Got any beard growing tips? Because I got the mustache. I ain't got the length.
I would say don't cut it. I would just say, if you absolutely are dying to do anything to it, go to a barber. They know what to do. They'll trim up the sides, whatnot. They'll cut the top, and you're good. But grow the rest. There's a lot of, I guess, tips and tricks and whatnot, oils and shit like that to put in your beard. But really, all it is just let that fucker grow. And it will grow thick, and you got to brush that shit. You just can't not touch it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So wash it, take care of it. If you do that, you're not going to get any breakage and whatnot. It's just simple mechanics, I guess.
Yeah. And I don't mean any offense at all by this, and I don't think there's any way you could, so I don't know why I say that. But has anybody told you look like the manlier version of Shia LaBeouf?
A manlier version of Shia LaBeouf.
Like, you look like the guy that benches Shia LaBeouf.
Dude, thanks, I guess. I wouldn't say that is by any means a diss or anything like that. Shia LaBeouf is, I guess, attractive to a lot of people, so I'm gonna take it.
So, back to the band, AVAT. First thing I want to ask about it is, what the hell does AVAT mean?
So, AVAT is an acronym. We can start there. And I'm going to go to a shadier section, man. Just kind of drive away from this heat.
Okay.
But
I was wondering if we were talking shadier, like less sun, or are we about to do some drug deals? Like, what's going on?
So AVAT means a victim at target, and we got that from the Misery Signal song from the 2008 release. It was just something that kind of struck a chord with the earlier members of the group, and it just kind of stuck. And we thought it was a pretty badass name. We made the acronym, of course, because legality aside, we wanted to be somewhat original, so we said AVAT. AVAT is the way to go, and it sounds pretty cool. Like, I've always made the joke like, I don't know, a vat of poison, something like that, but yeah, that's where that comes from.
It's like, all meaning aside, it's what they're going to be cheering one day, so it's going to sound cool regardless, right?
Very true, very true.
So, you're the vocalist. Are you also the lyricist?
Yes, I am. I primarily compose all the lyrics. There are a couple songs that I've had the pleasure of working with Phil Labonte from All That Remains, and that has been a pleasure in writing those songs. Phil's just a great individual overall and very talented. So just to get his feedback on what I do has been a tremendous pleasure. Honestly, you get to learn a lot from somebody that's been around in the industry for a little bit, and um, you just kind of develop your own style. I've been writing so much music for such a long time. I've written pop music. I've written um, grunge. I've written a lot of different stuff. So to be in this kind of arena, and then I want to say it's thematically different than writing for pop songs and pop music in general. Uh, I find that there's a lot more responsibility in what you say, and so now I've gotten into the habit of whatever I'm writing, because I tend to write metaphorically at first when I'm just jotting ideas down, because for me it's more natural to get the melody and just fit words to it, um, and then I'll think about what I really wanted to say. So I'll get basically my rough draft in, and sometimes there's a natural flow of things, and just things end up sticking around. Like a lot of my courses are untouched, so that's pretty cool. But the verse is definitely, I think that there needs to be a lot more substance when I write.
Right. I like that. I like somebody that puts a lot of thought into it, and it's it's wild that you know, like, as my experience writing lyrics, I can only write sad boy shit. It's wild that you can write pop to metal to grunge and differentiate all those, because they're different voices as a writer.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it. I guess it would stem from my background. I mean, I was born in New Orleans. I have Cuban parents, and I have been thrown in every melting pot that you can imagine. I mean, at the age of 9, I moved into Miami. Um, so there was a cultural shift there. And then Miami at the time was really big on like rap and stuff like that, and the trip hop and that kind of era. Um, and the Roxanne, that kind of stuff, and that was a pretty cool time to be around. And then rock wise, you also had the grunge era and all that kind of stuff. And rock here was huge. We used to have a radio station called 94.9 Zeta, and that was what I listened to when I was growing up. Now it's a lot different. Like we have, I think it's a Big 105.9 is what it is. It used to be called Big 106. They used to play all the classic stuff, like the Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and whatnot, Ozzy. But now they're playing a lot of the more modern stuff. So because they've had to switch formats, and so now they're kind of like mixing the two. So they'll do a lot of whatever is modern, but they also do a lot of the 90s, and they'll consider that the now classics. It's just kind of funny seeing that now. Um, Here we are 30 years after the fact, and it's fun to see that.
It's crazy. People, I'm on TikTok just watching random stuff, and I'll see people post something with like, a Tamagotchi from the 90s or something, and the hashtag retro be on there. I'm like, retro? That was my childhood. My childhood's retro now?
Shit, man. You telling me?
And vintage.
It's funny because I was just recently talking about the toys that I had when I was a kid, and I was really big into Ghostbusters, and I had this toy set that was these dinosaurs. They had like kind of like cyborg dinosaurs. They would kind of work with your GI Joes and whatnot,
I know what you're talking about.
and I would play with that shit all the time.
Hell yeah, man. Like, I remember seeing, like, commercials for that shit on TV, like, watching stuff on VHS when the trailers came after the show that you watched, and there'd be, like, trailers about those dinosaurs with, like, cyborg parts. It's crazy shit, man. And all that's ancient now.
Those were the days, man. So like I felt that there were no rules in the 80s as far as like toys, so like they just throw anything together. That's how we got Trolls, you know what I mean? So it's just like so like it's fun to see that and then see what they come up now. It's like everything has to be so PC. But then you also have like the weird stuff. Like they have like man, my kids have these dolls, poopsies or whatnot. And that I find that to be the most hilarious thing. I'm just like, this feels like what it would have been in the 80s is just coming out now. It's just getting weirder and weirder as we grow into this culture.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, man. Like, you mentioned Ghostbusters a second ago, and like everything is coming full circle now, too. Everything's coming back around. You mentioned Trolls, like my cousin's kid is all into these this troll TV show and movie and based on that. And I think the worst part of COVID, other than COVID itself, like the worst part of like all of the things that got delayed and put off was, man, I was wanting that Ghostbusters movie to come out.
Oh man, that just I like the writing team behind it too. That was phenomenal just to have that kind of like cast in the writing squad. So that was fun to even see that, and to hear that it was postponed definitely tugs at the heartstrings. But I'm sure that they're going to come out with it sooner than later.
Eventually.
I mean, there's a lot of hurt in that industry right now. They don't have like their regular revenue stream. So what they're used to getting, and I think everybody in that industry is going to feel it really hard, is you have to think of it this way. Like they are so used to spending X amount of dollars, and I'm going to get very technical here, but they get so used to spending X amount of dollars so that they can kind of like, have something to write off. So when you suddenly can't spend that kind of money because you're not fucking pulling that kind of, money in, then you get in trouble, People start losing their houses and their cars and shit. And then, then you wonder why some of your favorite stars are not making movies anymore, or what happened, or why they're selling their house and why they're doing this. And that's how those tabloids get started. But I mean, I definitely would see that happening here within probably throughout this year and maybe the next.
And I hadn't even thought of that. I just, I'm from Georgia, so I know a lot of people that are in the extra acting community in Atlanta. And I just know how much they've been hurting, because I know people down there that that's how they lived, was they just day by day, every day they sent in applications for being an extra in TV show, never knowing what they would do the next day, but somehow filling up like 6 days of work with it, to not filming anything in a year.
Yeah, man, I can't imagine what that's like.
And
I am so grateful to even have a job right now. Like, forever grateful.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine what folks like that are doing just to stay afloat. You know what I mean?
It was weird moving from Georgia to Kentucky because Georgia, they act like it never happened. Besides Atlanta, the rest of Georgia, you couldn't tell that a pandemic had happened. There's no mask mandates, no shutdowns, nothing. When I moved up here, I'm still looking for a job. Like, nobody's hiring. It's all weird
Shit.
up here. But, you know, how has it affected the band? Were y'all any plans on touring or anything like that before it happened, or?
Yeah, man, we were getting ready for a big push in 2020. We were so ready. We had tons of material lined up, and we had release after release scheduled, and suddenly shutdown happens. Possibility of tours is taken away, and you have to shift your game. Um, it really is sink or swim, and I think there have been those in the community like Matt Heafy, Trivium, that have been building their following for quite some time on other platforms like Twitch, and they are able to capitalize on such ventures and kind of push their band into the stratosphere online. Some other bands were caught with their tails between their legs and had to formulate something out of their ass. Just that's the same boat that we were in, and we're like, okay, so what are we going to choose to do? Are we just gonna sit around and mope that we can't tour? Fuck no. We're gonna get back in the studio. We're gonna write more music. We're gonna figure this shit out. We're gonna plan other stuff. Uh, we have been planning for quite a while. We're gonna do an online virtual show.
Hell
So
yeah.
that's coming up here in the next few months, and that's gonna be really exciting. Our label's in full support of that, and we've been able to build out a place for that purpose. So that is kind of what we've been dedicating and devoting ourselves to, is just building that. It doesn't happen overnight. And it's for me, like, social media is like really tough because I kind of feel like I want to give a certain element to our fans, and then I want to give them some content about certain things, but then I kind of second guess myself. And then I look at people like, Ivan Moody from Five Finger Death Punch just fucking going live all the time, and I'm just like, fuck, man, why can't I do some shit like that? And uh, so I'll think about these things quite a while, and I'm like trying to devise my own strategy for posting and what kind of content I want to post. So that's really what I've been dedicating myself to, is just kind of like building or branding myself, I would say, branding myself and how I'm going to be um, showing our fans what it is to be a member of AVAT, what it is to be a fan of the music, and what we offer as musicians.
And that can be such a tough thing. I've seen, you were talking about that, and I thought of two TikTokers off the top of my head that I follow. One guy, Taylor Barber from a band Left to Suffer. He has just gone off. He'll just do like 5 videos of him doing random screams a day and tell people to stitch it, whether they can scream or not. And he's built a following off of that. And then another guy, can't remember his name right now, but his handle is at my pop punk dad. He started out trying to promote his music, and they made a post saying, like, all you people talking about not having dad, you know what? I'm your dad now. I'm proud of you. And next thing you know, he's having to put all these videos out like, hey, go check out my music. But while you're there, remember, I'm proud of you, kids.
I fucking love that. I've seen that guy, and what a great way to build a following. You know what I mean? And just kind of be that. I mean, for a lot of people, that might make a difference. You know, so that's really cool.
But it's finding, you know, whether you have your feet down in AVAT or not, it's finding a totally different voice sometimes, switching over to social media and TikTok and Twitch. And I wish you the best of luck with that. And I hope you put out some killer content, man, because, you know, any way you can draw people into listening to AVAT, the better, because you got some good fucking music, man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
But what is AVAT looked like from 2015 to now, when you all started out?
Well, there was a lot of indecisiveness, I would say. We were focused on shows. We weren't sure if we wanted to get signed. We weren't sure if we wanted to do an album or singles or whatnot. So we started formulating an EP. Then we transitioned that and we wanted to do a full LP, and we had kind of like this whole concept album idea. So we really devoted ourselves to that, and we started to build this. Lo and behold, through friends of friends, we started to meet the folks at Apocalypse Records and Intercat, and we started to just show them what we were capable of, what the ideas we had, and how we wanted to build this monumental thing. And I guess it was the passion that really caught their eye. But we started to shift away from the whole LP, the whole EP, and we started to dissect the songs. They said, "You guys are way better than this. Way better than this. Don't even dramatize that this is it, because we know that you can write better. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you X, X, and X, and then we're gonna see how it goes." And so we started to devote ourselves to writing and rewriting songs, and we came up with some great new material. We started to realize that it took a lot more discipline, because we all have day jobs. So we would wake up at the ass crack of dawn, head to work, finish work, drive home. Here in South Florida, you're at least looking at an hour to drive home. And it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter. So you're looking at that hour, you get home, you're fucking tired, you want to eat, you're trying to get shit together. And then you got a home to take care of, or an apartment, whatever it is. Once you got all that shit settled and you sit down and you want to write, you kind of have to just say, okay, well, this is the most important hour, or this is the most important time of period of my day. So developing that discipline and finding creativity amongst those hours has been the greatest challenge throughout the 5 years that we've been, since 2015 rather. And we've been focusing on that, and then when something doesn't stick, we kind of toss ideas back and forth. So we'll do a lot of like riffing. They'll record some riffs, or maybe a bass line or whatever. They'll send it to me, and I'll give them some feedback, or I'll send them a lyric, and then they'll build off of that. So that's kind of been our process and what we've been delving into. We've had some crazy ideas for shows. We've played shows with Black Tide and played shows with a few others in the community. We played out in Churchill's, legendary pub down in South Florida, and We've played at a lot of other venues throughout our time, but we decided that there was at one point that we're like, we want to get better than this, so we have to stop playing the local circuit and we have to start looking elsewhere. So that's when we started to think about the tour. And when we started to think about the tour and the possibilities of that, we discussed this with the label and we said, hey, we need support to do this and we want to do this and that. So we started to build that. They started to put us in communication with a lot of folks in the industry, and that's how we got to have the wonderful PR team that we have today. And the label have just been instrumental in developing all of this with us alongside, have been real key pieces. And to those, I completely get it, for people who want to stay independent and whatnot, but if you have a good label behind you that believes in you, that believes in what you want to accomplish, and you put in the effort to make that happen, they're not going to forget about you. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of hard work, man. That's all we've been up to is hard work and dedication, and just never stopping. That's really the element there. Every day you got to do something to be better than the last day. Me and my bassist, we have this 1% rule. If you can do 1% better today than yesterday, then that's it. That's what's gonna catapult us forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get this grand old idea and maybe it'll be the viral piece that takes you elsewhere, but you can't rely on that. There's so much more behind those viral pieces and hard work and dedication that you need to have in order to stay successful and build off of whatever virality that you get. You know what I mean? So you can rely on, maybe I'll get that hit single and then I'll be able to ride the wave. It's not like that at all. You got to keep working every day. It has to be your one thing. You know what I mean? And you should fill yourself and your life with people that are going to be supporting you in that. And that's what we've done. We've done exactly that. And the members of the band, I think, would agree with me that we're the hardest working motherfuckers around.
Dude, that's all great to hear. And you mentioned, that 1 hour, however much amount of time that you put toward the music is the most important part of the day. And some people will come in and argue, no, work is the most important. This is the most important, keeping care of your house. But the thing is, all of that, you do all these things living for the day, living in the moment. And then at the end of the day, you're telling me you put in this 1 hour as hard as you can, 1% better every day toward the future.
That's
and
right.
That is what's going to get you somewhere. Because a lot of people stay stuck in their mind of the day. What's going on today? What's going on tomorrow even? But no, you're thinking about what's going on 5 years from now. What do I got to do today to get to where I want to be tomorrow? And that's inspirational, right, man.
Thank you. I try not to think about it as something that I've got to do, because it's something that I want to do. And all the other things, as important as they are, your job, your home, your car payments, whatever that is, that's still going to be there. At the end of the day, if you want it, that's still going to be there. So it's important not to stay stuck in traditions, in routine, and not just that, but I mean, the feedback that I get between my bassist and I, and then the rest of the guys, we're all just feeding off one another and just like pushing each other. Hey man, don't forget this. We got to do this. We got to do that. And it pushes everyone to follow suit and kind of build that, and suddenly you start to build this trust, because I mean, I didn't know these guys, but 10 years ago, and I'm blessed to have them in my life. It's just, we keep each other accountable. We keep each other moving forward in every aspect of our life, and we check up on one another. And I think that's what real friendship is about. And they do the same for me that I do for them. So, and sometimes, we fall short on that, and that's where that checking in happens, and that's where you start to get that feedback, like, hey man, you've been fucking around. we need you to step up your game, man. So when you have those meetings and you have that mutual respect, it builds, I think it's more of a culture that gets cemented, so that's definitely one of the coolest things about being in this band.
And to any solo creators out there, and bands also, listen up. Get you that guy that'll tell you, hey, you've been fucking around.
That's right.
You got to have that guy. Even as, like I said earlier, I do this by myself. I got that guy that'll call me and he'll be like, hey, man, what the fuck did you release last Monday? But
oh man, it's so true.
You got to have that. You got to have that support. You got to have that support group. And dude, I'm glad to see, you've got it all worked out, man. You know what you're doing. It's a lot of people have,
I don't have it worked out, man. I won't paint a pretty picture, but I don't have it all worked out, but definitely I know what I want to work it out. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I think knowing the tools at your disposal is probably the more valuable thing.
Right.
It's what you do with them, really, at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And we are nearing the end of our time here. So to any of the fans, any band members, do you have any last words? Thank you, fuck you, anything like that?
I want to thank everybody that has already listened to Faith in Flames, have been there supporting us from the beginning. All of our fans out there, if you haven't heard of us, please follow us on social media. It's at AVAT Music. That's AVAT Music. And check out our singles. If you want to support us in any way, make sure that you guys are buying the single. That goes a long way to making sure that we can, start financing tours and whatnot. And we're working on merch and all that kind of wonderful stuff. We're working with our team closely to develop everything, and that's all coming soon. So stick around for that. It's going to be amazing. We have some great artists that we want to focus and put forth. So just to have some great and cool swag, right?
All right. Thank you, man. And stick around for a second, everybody listening, because we're going to play a clip from Faith in Flames, and you're going to get that stuck in your head. You're going to go to their channel, you're going to listen to the whole damn thing, and you're going to put that on repeat. Got it? And this has been the Confound Millennial, starring Steven Stirvin Michaels and featuring Roland Velazquez of... I fucked that up. Rolyvee of AVAT.
I know not to play with flames. She thinks this is all